Welcome to Chapter 3, Network Structure and Group Influences in Social Media. Chapter Objectives. You will answer the following questions once you have consumed the material in the textbook and in this lecture, and the extras in Blackboard. How do social network sites Let's start with social community. The book defines online communities as a group of people who come together for a specific purpose, who are guided by community policies, and who are supported by internet access that enables virtual communication. I keep a more simple approach. Online or offline, community is a unified body of individuals unified by interests, location, occupation, common history, or political and economic concerns. It's that simple to me. Build a community, find your tribe, connect through a common thread. Just for fun, locate and explore the Chaco Nation link in Blackboard. Recall the definition of community on the previous slide. Is it outrageous to think of forming tribes for our class client, CVS Pharmacy? Take a few minutes and come on back when you're done. Characteristics of online communities include presence, social objects, behavior standards, groups and subcultures, participation, social capital, strong and weak ties. The vocabulary of networks includes nodes, network units, interactions, and flows. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is not a new phenomenon. In fact, George Silverman, a psychologist, pioneered word of mouth marketing in the early 1970s when he created what he called teleconferenced peer influence groups in order to engage physicians in dialogue about new pharmaceutical products. One or two physicians who were having good experiences with a drug could sway an entire group of skeptics, he found, thus pioneering the way to WAMA, the Word of Mouth Association, founded in 2004, which still exists today and primarily deals with word of mouth online. Then we get to word of mouse, not to be too punny. Word of mouth communication flows from node to node. You'll recall that as a network term. With the emergence of Web 2.0 and the increasing use of the internet as a research and communications platform, word of mouth has become an even more powerful and useful resource for consumers and marketers. However, word of mouth is a two-edged sword that cuts both ways for marketers. Informal discussions among consumers can make or break a product or store. Furthermore, consumers weigh negative word of mouth more heavily than they do positive. We need to understand this as professional marketers. This leads us to social object theory. Social object theory suggests that social networks will be more powerful communities if there is a way to activate relationships among people and objects. Object sociality, on the other hand, is the extent to which an object can be shared in social media. On Dogster, dogs are the social objects. What are the social objects of your favorite networks? Social capital equals reputation value. And you need to understand that social capital is in fact worth maybe not an actual dollar value, but built up social capital can protect an organization, brand's, or individual's reputation value in the event of a service failure or other thing that might happen that perhaps could damage your reputation. But if you've got money in the social capital bank, then you're more likely to come out of that unscathed. How do things spread? One theory is the tipping point by Malcolm Gladwell. The tipping point is that magic moment when an idea, trend, or social behavior crosses a threshold, tips, and spreads like wildfire. Just as a single sick person can start an epidemic of the flu, so too can a small but precisely targeted push cause a fashion trend, make a new product popular, or in fact impact the crime rate. So it's not just for marketers in particular. Gladwell codified that tipping point as a magic moment when things start to spread. His theory involves the law of the few. It also talks about if an idea is sticky, it has memorable impact and stays with us for a long time. He also proposes that ideas spread more easily when conditions are right. He calls that the power of context. The law of the few proposes that 3 types of people have to spread viral messages. Mavens are people who are knowledgeable about many things. Connectors are people who know many people and communicate with them. Salespeople are people who influence others with their natural persuasive power. So just for fun, take a look at the animated book summary I've placed in Blackboard. Ask yourself, are you a maven, connector, or a salesperson? Can you think of examples of these types in your personal network? Come on back when you're done. How ideas travel in a community. Network structure and composition play a role in the community's ability to support its members. There is evidence of community culture in the memes that evolve within the community. A meme is a snippet of cultural information that spreads person to person until it eventually enters the general consciousness. Memes can be comprised of songs, phrases, ideas, slang words, fashion trends, or shared behaviors. So just for fun, pause. This is a just for fun, but honestly, really, you should go do it. Memes are best viewed in the wild. Explore the Memes and More Memes folder in Blackboard. And I ask you this, consider this. Can something be engineered to go viral? So everyone who's ever worked in the industry that I work in has been asked, can't you just make this go viral? So I firmly believe as a practitioner, the key is to know your tribe, know your target audience very, very well. I think taking into consideration Gladwell's tipping point and the idea that things have to be just right, conditions have to be just right, and context needs to be appropriate can also factor in. So ask yourself, what do you think? So we all remember Gangnam Style. I personally wasn't a fan, but influence networks help things spread. Let's take a closer look. There's a 2-step flow model of influence. A small group of influencers are responsible for dissemination of information because they can modify the opinions of the larger group, the larger number of other people. Most recent research has tweaked that basic idea. Now it suggests that influence can be driven by both influencers and by interactions among those who are easily influenced. So we get this two-way, again, democratic. It's not just a one-way anymore. These people communicate the information vigorously to one another and also participate in a two-way dialogue with the opinion leader as part of an influence network. So again, it is not a one-way, it's not information consuming. Back in chapter 1, I talked about individuals do 3 basic things. They consume information, they create information, and then they co-create. And that's where the co-creation comes in. You take an idea and then you maybe add to it, and you communicate that, and that is very impactful in how things spread in social media. Influencers also known as opinion leaders or power users, are those others view as knowledgeable sources of information, the maven, if you will, in Gladwell's topography. The bases of social power are broken down into 6 types: reward, coercive, legitimate, referent, expert, and information. Make sure that you are aware of the 6 types and the definitions for each. So now, one last pause. Read the mini case study, the little beanies, on page 87. Locate the example content in Blackboard. Read the related Mom Without Labels blog post. And ask yourself, is it clear to you that Shannon is being compensated for her influence? Why or why not? So let's recap. How do things spread? We've got the basic social network theory. We've got the 2-step flow model of influence. We've got word of mouth or word of mouse, the tipping point, and then the viral spread. That includes memes. Recap and questions, the questions we've answered here, hopefully that you are able to answer all of those. If not, go on back through and make sure that you understand all that we have addressed in this chapter and in this learning module. And that's it. This concludes Chapter 3 and Network Structure and Group Influence. You should be ready to ace the quiz. Next week, we'll start with Chapter 4 and learn all about strategic planning. I'll see you back.